Hello, I am Quinny. Welcome to the channel, guys. In this video today, it is prepping season on Sorare. We're in the spring international break, and that is always the precursor to the final portion of the European season, where titles are won, where dreams are shattered, and where legends can be made on the SO5 leaderboard. But for Sorare managers, this is the last chance saloon to get those reinforcements in, to get those upgrades in for when we come into that final portion of the season, to get that last minute bit of utility with perhaps a little bit of a price drop in the market with the lack of utility on the horizon beyond the next kind of 2 months to prepare ahead into next season. If you're not too sure what I'm talking about, make sure you check out last week's video, when to buy on Sorare. But in this video today, we're going to be looking at the details in the fixture list, as well as some of the other interesting details, increases that we've got coming into this portion of the season that we've never had available to us before. This international break in particular, we've got such a wide variety of players available that will have international utility that is actually pretty appealing to compose a team for in the SO5 itself. But there's those repercussions. What teams are still fighting for Champions League qualification next season? What title race has just been blown wide open? Who's just sacked their manager? Who might get a transfer in the summer? These are the preparations we're starting to look at and think about today. Now, some Sorare scouts and managers from around the world who are super prepared have probably seen this kind of event coming, and they've probably done some due diligence around the market. But no matter where you stand, if you've kind of done your business already, you're kind of set up for the next like 8 to 10 months or whatever, whether you're brand new starting out in the last couple of months or whether none of this even dawned on you until you clicked on the video, there's all sorts of opportunities here for us to enhance our teams, as well as some pitfalls that we want to make sure we avoid. Now, my club, FC Barcelona, always uses these international breaks to really reflect and take stock on our results over the last kind of 12 weeks or so, as well as the next kind of 12 weeks until the next international break or whatever, end of season, pre-season, whatever the next big kind of milestone is. And once you've been playing Sorare for a while, you get in a rhythm of doing these kind of ahead of time. But no matter how prepared you are, whether you opened up your account last week, 6 months ago, 2 years ago, this is always one of the best times to jump into the lineup builder on Sorare data and have a scout across the market, having a look at our gallery and thinking about what reinforcements, what upgrades can we get in to get this last window of opportunity for before we lock them away into the off-season for Europe, with the preparations of being stronger and better next season. I don't think I've been as excited for an international break on Sorare as I am this one. I've got a lot of good Scotland cards out and running. I've got a couple of goalkeepers now in international football. And we'll still be doing all the deadline streams before we do the game weeks on the Friday, because I think the weekend for international football has been pretty good. But I'm expecting the member sections on Wednesday, where the season ticket holders, the guys that pay £1 a month into the memberships, we do the member streams where the live chat run the show. And that's when I'll do gallery reviews, build your lineups, shoot the breeze, talk all things Sorare strategy, market positions, whatever. And because we don't want to have that much domestic football on, I'm expecting the member section videos to probably quite longer over the international break, and I'm very much looking forward to it. There's been a lot of new members recently asking a lot of questions, and there's probably some of you out there that never even knew about the member section. But it's every Wednesday, and if you're after any more details on it, there's links down in the description of this video that can get you sorted out with where to find the details of what's involved and all that good stuff. At any point in the video today, but if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel, share and retweet, all that good stuff, guys. Stay out of trouble, and let's get stuck into it. So the first place for me to start is I want to look at Sorare data, and I want to look at my SO5 results. Now for me, I'm always looking back at what cards I've won first and foremost. Thresholds for the most part have not been as readily available and as many places as they have been until now. So I've not really been factoring in monetary gains in terms of just this little personal review that I put myself through. So we're going all the way back to game week 330, which was pretty much the end of the World Cup there. That's when I can see I've got domestic teams. I think I had the Celtic team out this game week, and we finished first, and we picked up a Balikwisha, an all-star super rare, which was brilliant. And we've had a really good patch of form really quickly coming out of the World Cup from game week 330, winning that Balikwisha, having 9th place, 7th place, 9th again, 5th again, 10th again in a lot of different divisions, rare and super rare. Never mind a 44th here and a 23rd that have pulled in some decent cards, and Giuliano and Morita. And then about 10 game weeks, we've not really done much. And then from game week 342, again, not really too much there, through to 347. A 35th, a third, a 6th. Oh, both those cards were the same third. A 16th and a 176th. So It's since that kind of post-World Cup New Year period, when it was quite Celtic-centric, it must be said, the wins have been a wee bit fewer and further between. But we did get a nice big win, obviously finishing third and bagging the Hulsa and the Word Prowse. That was a really big week. These are the rewards I've kept, as you guys will know if you are following the channel. Like, I sell most of my rewards. I do a lot of them is like trade bait to get into the cards that I really, really, really want. But I think I've done quite well with the cards I've won over this period. But I definitely don't think that I've been, 2 podiums in that time, and one of them is what I'd call a competitive podium. Finishing that third. And then this other one here, this first, it's lovely, but wasn't, and don't get me wrong, there was a lot of football on this week. Right after the World Cup, there was a lot of leagues that came straight back at it. But it's not as competitive as the time I finished third, for example. As you can see, 521 points on that occasion, whereas on this one it was 346. So definitely not the same kettle of fish, as it were. But again, back here in 7th, 425. So we've been put up some good scores, and we've put up probably some scores that are much better than these ones that have bagged in cards already. But it's been very, very competitive. So I'm looking at that kind of yield, as it were, and I am disappointed in the return we've had in terms of a card perspective over the last, let's call it 3 months. Now, over the time Celtic don't play, as you guys will know, you've seen me in action a few times. I've not had that much meat on the bones over recent periods. As you can see, a DNP goalkeeper here, an all-star rare. And with only having 3 teams out, I still managed to finish 9th in Specialist Super Rare. So this is before all the new cap modes and everything came out. So this was quite a quiet week. But across the board, early this year, I've definitely been lacking some quality that I feel that I've managed to actually trade in over the last month or two. Like, even comparing these teams and the amount of DNP goalkeepers I'm having to field in. Now with MLS being back, some transfers being done in January, and the introduction of the cap modes, I do feel my teams now are actually in a really good spot. And even though I've not actually won I've won 1 card this week. I've picked up 2 thresholds, which is nice. And I've just been undone by one situation, unfortunately. Rio Hatate on this game week in particular. Maybe 1 or 2 others have slightly underperformed with the situations they're in. But I don't think when I look at these teams, I'm missing huge different options and availability. Now, I do think I've got a lot of cards on the bench that could actually make another team, and I could probably have another good shot at a team here and there. But looking at the quality of teams I've got going out and the amount of entries, I'm actually quite satisfied with where a lot of these are. And in terms of especially the lineups I can put out there, is I'm not expecting them to do well, and let's see if we get mad lucky. It's a bit frustrating to see some of those guys come off, but at least we're trapping guys with good scores, and that's what Sorare's all about. But as I look across even this game week here and all the other ones where I've not picked up rewards, it is goal scorers have been the main thing that have been the difference between me winning cards and not. And a lot of my goal scorers from my own gallery personally are quite actually congregated into 2 or 3 different cards, like Kyogo, Rio Hatate, Daizen Maeda. There's a few guys I've got multiple copies of in multiple scarcities. And I'm realising that now is something that's really held me back. And I'm now looking at my European contingent as well as my America contingent, and thinking about how over-reliant I am in different positions. The next thing I'll kind of do at this point is I'm going to go into my gallery, and I like to just play around with some different filters and see what different things I discover. Now, I knew I was very light on Champion Euro Rare forwards, which is why bringing club icon, club legend Memphis Depay back to the club was a priority transfer. But otherwise, I do have 6 defenders and 6 midfielders of varying standards and quality that I'm content enough with, that can get me across the rare contingent I may need to call upon. This international break, having Maxime Chanot travelling to play for Luxembourg, has really brought to the top of my attention. I am so light in rare defence for Champion America, which is normally a position FC Barcelona and my club is well stocked on, but at the moment I am running on bare minimum. I don't even have Ominami from the J League to kind of boost this up in the non-EU part, or Koki Machida anymore. So maybe I actually look into Asia, but I definitely need a non-EU rare defender. No 2 ways about it. In the non-EU stakes, it does appear that I am very light on forward options. Of course, Magno and Andrade both at NYC, with Atul, who's kind of like a fullback. I've just got him because of the collection, obviously. But Heber's transfer has been useful. Him playing at Seattle's a different squad. He's not eating into other minutes of other cards that play for New York City, so that's been nice as a development. Giacomakis moving to Atlanta has been brilliant. He scored his first goal at the weekend, which was great to see, and a big victory against Portland. 70 points with his goal. Love it. 9 points on, picked up a few fouls. He loves to get fouled. Did he complete any passes? 4. He completed 4 passes. That's a huge upgrade on what he used to do at Celtic anyway. 2 shots on target. That's a great development. But after this international break, Norway is basically going to be coming back, and Carlo Hosa has been pictured in training with the Rosenborg first team. And this reward, who I did bag for finishing third, who looks like a Norwegian Cecilia or something like this, who might have been injured, should have held him, should have sold him, whatever. Before you know it, guys, time goes, and at the blink of an eye, here we go, we're coming into international break, and afterwards, give it a game week or two, and this guy is right back into the mix. And he is an EU forward, of course, playing in Norway, but the way the Norwegian calendar goes is it's totally out of sync with the rest of Europe. So that Norwegian break really does massage over that summer period. And to have an Apex forward card like this guy, quietly getting some XP, waiting to come back into season. He's been pictured in training with FC Barcelona, with Giacomakis, with Keaton Parks, with Nicolas Acevedo, who doesn't come up on my filter, but has moved to Bahia in Brazil. And I'm looking forward to seeing how he does, as well as some of these other guys. In midfield, I am really relying on Santi and Gold, and Parks is a kind of filler, I suppose. But with them being 2 huge players, I don't mind that running through the summer, because the super rare mids I've got, these 3 guys you see on screen, Acevedo and Ki Sung-young, I think in midfield across the divisions I'll be playing, I should be A-okay. But forwards, we're just about there, I think, which is nice. But rare defence is something that's a huge gap at FC Barcelona. Now, the way I look at my super rares, to be quite honest with you, is the same I think probably most people look at their limiteds these days if you're a brand new starting out. In terms of some of the plays I have to make, in terms of getting guys ahead of time, or taking, backing a hunch, getting a guy in that I think I've just got him at a great price when he was maybe lacking a little bit of form, and his form was right around the corner from returning. Having to sit on a great reward, even though couldn't use it right away. And again, like I say, backing some hunches, wait for some guys to get back into some teams, as well as some of those guys you just love to watch and you love to plug in and play every week, across all sorts of different leagues for different reasons. Maybe they used to play for your team, maybe they currently play for your team, maybe there's somebody that you've always liked but they've never had the shot and they're just about maybe coming into a bit of form. The super rares and the uniques for me, as I say, these are the ones where I really feel, and let's get the uniques on screen, like these would be limiteds and rares for new people, like Edward's probably not a bad rare if you're on a budget, in terms of his pricing and the utility, the lack of utility you'll get out of him, if that makes sense. So, and again, the reasons I kind of picked these up are probably not too dissimilar to anyone that would find them. But anyway, you'll understand what I'm saying. And when you get to this kind of number, where across outfield I've got 13 defenders, right? All of varying quality and standing, okay? But really, outside of Celtic, there's not that many studs here, is there? Maffeo can be okay. Hendry, Scales can be okay. Tierney can be okay. Kufri looks like he could be. Kufri might be actually a bit of a baller. Let's see how he pans out. He could be another Trippier level card at FC Barcelona. But we've got 18 midfielders across unique and super rare, of course. But the mould of midfielder that my club buys, I've got guys at tackle, I've got guys at intercept. All of them get into the final third in some way, shape, or form. Maybe less so Wanyama, right? But by and large, this is the makeup and the profile of all the guys that I like to pick up and that I go for. So I feel no matter what the cap is I'm squeezing these guys into, all of them are kind of as likely as one another to bring in a 75, to put in the random 90 or something, as well as those games where if they don't completely turn up, they might not totally kill your team, they could still bring in a 56 or something. But like I mentioned in my analysis earlier, it feels like goals is the hardest thing to come by from forward positions for me at the moment. And as I even look across these cards up here, like I do have clear goal scorers. Enes Unal is in the form of his life at the moment. He is slaying it in La Liga at the moment. He's playing for a big, big transfer. I'd love to see where he ends up next year, because there's no way he can stay at Getafe. Unless Getafe can somehow, by the way, squeeze into Europe. They're already up to mid-table, and the form they're on, man, who knows if anyone can stop them. Really good team for me. But Quinny can't really get in the team. Jordan Larson has been passed about everywhere, not really getting in the team. The Mecca has returned from an injury, but not back in the team yet, as you can see. Giacomakis is just transferred, and that's been a great transfer because he's transferred into a different calendar, which has just been a lovely coincidence for me. So between the Giacomakis transfer and that bagging of that host, it has really opened up an avenue here that I didn't have available. So leaning all of that against the goalkeepers, I've only got 3 guys that really play, so I think when you look at the quality of defender, midfielder and forward I'm carrying here, I think 3 goalkeepers is around about the sweet spot, but I do have the feeling and I do have the urge for one more, particularly one that is EU calendar based, one that can complement the Kufri, the super rare mids, the Giacomakis, the Hulsa, these kind of guys in that European off season. So these are the things that I can see now from the results I've had and where I've been lacking, and I'm thinking about any opportunities that might come into the market, as well as like what is yet to come in terms of the European off season. Am I well equipped for that, and what is going on there as well? The next thing to do from this point really is to jump into lineup builder and get clicking away and getting building all sorts of different teams. Now, I'm not going to spend hours going through this with you, but I've kind of done it here. I've kind of done it over the last kind of little bit, building some of the core teams that I want to play in different divisions, just on the basis of their calendar, on the basis of the fixture itself as it sits now. Obviously, we'll see how some L5s change and see if any guys have international duty that affect some of their scores and all the rest of it. But again, like I'm saying, I'm looking if there's any wee sneaky midweeks here where I might have some guys playing some football. Right, I look to have guys playing in all different positions. Oh, and good variety, by the way. This is a midweek. Like, I want to find the game week where Celtic are at home to Motherwell, Carlo Hulsa is at home to Sandefjord, and Giacomakis is at home to Chicago. So that I can plan for these game weeks and make sure that if I had half of a team ready to fight against a really nice game week like this, that I make sure I've got the bits and pieces available to maximise it as much as I can. This is a weekend, literally everything's going to be on. Not only is Norway back into the equation, but I can also see that Brazil is back on, as well as everything in Europe, North America, South America. And because there's so much variety available in so many different places, filling the missing pieces into the puzzle could be really fun and maybe offer some really good long-term opportunities in terms of entry points. But there is some positions here where you do need to have a little bit of buyer's beware, because across a lot of these different regions, there's lots of little creases and details around them that are often not known or not that kind of public in terms of like local domestic crises that might be happening, or different fixture patterns in their league where maybe they come on for a month, where they start the season and then very quickly they maybe have a couple of interim breaks. Every league across the world has got a slightly different fixture pattern. And if you don't look ahead and check lineup builders, sometimes you'll miss out and you won't realise, oh, I thought I had a team this weekend, but my goalkeeper, that team, they don't play this weekend because it's a national holiday or it's a cup weekend for them. There will be a lot of players in the market at the moment as well that do present themselves as being current season, in-season players. And for as much as we're still waiting for a lot of auctions to drop for new season cards that have not came yet, it is something to be wary of, because in-season cards have a 5% bonus that will really help you a lot in Cap 270 and an All-Star. But as soon as the new season issue of these cards comes out, that 5% goes away. So really do be careful around what cards you're picking up and what expectations you have for them in terms of any multipliers or their status within the market, because not being an in-season card does change a card standing in the market. As soon as a newer version is available with that guaranteed minimum 5% on it, regardless of the transaction cost on the XP, that will just change the position your card is in. So beware on that.